is another short feature talking about ways you can use plain nesting dolls. The character ones are brilliant, but they can be quite expensive, and you could save those for Christmas and birthday presents and do quite a lot with just the plain ones to get you going. You can get those on Amazon, Google, eBay. Just put plain nesting dolls into the search and you should find them, or plain Russian dolls, something like that. So I'm going to work with, first of all, how you can work very simply by downloading and printing off some emoji faces and cutting them out and asking the client if they'd like to choose the size and the kind of emotion they had, particularly perhaps when they were growing up or how they're feeling now. So here's a good girl with her halo on, and here is a grumpy self that might be quite hard to show people. A very sad self. Maybe it's hard to own that it's that big, and maybe my sad self is smaller so she can hide perhaps inside and instead put on what my parent always wanted me to be, which was happy. Lost my blue tack, there we go. You know, when I grew up, for example, some clients might say I had to be happy and I couldn't show who was inside. Get the idea? Simply working with having cut out all the emojis and the plain dolls. They don't have to go inside one another. The client can just talk about how it feels and what size the emotion feels. Another thing you can do is get some blackboard paint and simply paint a plain nesting doll a different colour, and you can then use chalk on here to draw the faces on and the emotions at each stage. It takes a bit of time, but when you're watching telly you could easily get the old paintbrush out and have a go. I did actually see some coloured ones on, I can't remember where I got these from now, but I was a bit disappointed that they're so small, and that's one of the problems that when counsellors actually use these, they often want them bigger. Well, there is an answer to that. One of my favourite nesting dolls, and I do recommend you buy this set, is the Ninjas, and they are like the underground terrorists who hide inside other perhaps more socially acceptable faces or characters. And I was always frustrated that the biggest one is too small, because this is a big aspect of lots of clients. So I got a plain nesting doll and recreated it. I'm rather proud of that, actually. It's not perfect, but it actually conveys the message that this is a bigger emotion for me. This is a bigger part of me. So you could simply take one of the characters you've bought and make it a larger size by copying it. A friend of mine very kindly had some Inside Out nesting dolls made for me. You know the film Inside Out? If you haven't seen it, you must see it. Put it on your to-do list. And they were really, really clever, and I think they're fantastic. There is another way that inspired me to think about using a combination of nesting dolls and miniatures that you might use for sand trays. And I know quite a lot of you have got the Inside Out characters, so why not put them inside a blank nesting doll? So for example, hiding inside this blank exterior is fear, scared to be seen, and I think that's quite powerful. Here's another one that I've used the anger one inside, hiding. Do you get the idea that you could combine some of the things you've already got and put them inside there? You could even, if your model of counselling allows you to, you could say, you know, sometimes to the client, sometimes I wonder if, you know, sometimes I see there might be an angry bit inside of you hiding. You could even offer that as does that fit with you? Is that how it feels? Or otherwise you can just lay the characters out and say, let's explore what you hide from the rest of the world. There's the outside being the good girl with a little halo, and inside I've put a little baby self. who's desperate, still unmet need, still crying in some ways. And what have I got in this one? Oh yes, I put Tigger, because sometimes when you were Tiggerish as a child, it was frowned on. Oh, don't be so silly, don't show off. And so Tigger got hidden. But there's really an amazing free child within you, and it's time that Tigger came out and wasn't hidden anymore. So do you get the idea? Here's an interesting one, a happy face, because children should have happy faces when they're young and count their blessings. And inside is sadness, hiding, but it is really hard to keep her hidden, and she leaks a bit because the top doesn't quite fit. Even things like that can be quite powerful. So using the miniatures you've got, plus the blank nesting dolls, can be quite effective. The first video on this channel is one that I made for the Creative Counsellors Club on Facebook in 2017, and in it I described the going down through the layers of the plain nesting doll, and I thought it might be good to do that again just to remind you it's there. The outer layer is the self I present to the outside world, who people meet perhaps for the first time, or until we get to know each other better. They might see someone who's quite friendly, kind, quite warm and engaging. But then asking the client, what would it be like to take that outer layer off, and handing the nesting doll to them for them to do this. Who would we meet next? And without that outer layer, well, perhaps someone who actually is much more vulnerable and struggles a bit, actually puts on a front. Isn't that an interesting expression, putting on a front? But inside I have more fears, things I hide that I only share with those who are closest to me and I know love me and accept me. And then you might say to the client, well, what about the next layer down? Do you feel brave enough to explore? And there is a kind of nervousness in both the counsellor and the client. Oh, I wonder where this is going to go. Neither of you knows what's going to happen. But sometimes going down through the next layer, well, actually, this is a part of me. Maybe the client might say, I hide from most people because I'm really angry inside. And when I was a child, you were allowed to be angry. And then as you go down through the layers, I usually just stop at about 5. I think that's enough. You find other emotions. Now, you sometimes go back into child naturally because you're going down in size, but you don't have to. It can just be about the size of the hidden emotion. So don't forget that. And then at the end, how the client wants to put him or herself back together again is quite important. Do they want everything to be hidden? Or maybe they found quite a happy little self before more difficult things happen, and actually I don't want her hidden anymore. I want to bring her out more, give her more of an airing, a say in how I do my life, and the rest can go back in. But it's an important thing to allow the client to see how she puts herself back together again in order to go home. Finally, just one more. Many clients find it very difficult to get in touch with their feelings, and I'm not even sure what a feeling is. And the outside is completely blank. But actually, what you find when you take the lid off is the reason for that. Because what is stopping the feelings coming out is a sense of shame. And that happens so often in the counselling room, that shame gets in the way. The feelings comes flooding up. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I'm pathetic. I'm stupid. I was never allowed to show these emotions. I'd love to have been able to paint that on, but I tried and I wasn't very good. So I just cut it out from somewhere and stuck it on. Because I think shame is red hot sometimes. But underneath, when you get through the shame and they find they have permission to be real, they can explore their anger. Again, I just painted a plain nesting doll red and stuck an angry face on there. And inside I put the tears, the grief and the sorrow at not being accepted with all these emotions maybe. And then a little frightened one inside. And so just painting scary eyes on a purple background or whatever colour you like, there are no rules about this, enables you to have more freedom with how you use the nesting dolls. Just a few ideas for you. I hope that inspires you, and if you have got some really creative ideas that you've come up with yourself, please share them in the comments section so we can spread the word. Nesting dolls are a fantastic way to work. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this is your first visit, please subscribe because we can do lots more with the channel if you do. Thank you so much. Bye for now.